welcome back. And I hope you've been enjoying yourself with Mark. Myself and Scott have been enjoying walking through the bush here. After we last left you, which was hot on the pursuit of a bunch of alarm calls that we were hearing. First we were hearing impala giving alarm call, then we were hearing squirrels giving alarm call, and we bashed into a little group of dwarf mongoose, only to find a harrier hawk sitting in the branches, probably scaring the squirrel. We left you then, and then what Scott and I did was we searched around the area for some tracks, and we bumped into some female leopard tracks. They were very fresh on the road. I have no doubt that it was laid down by the same animal that was making the impala nervous and making the squirrel give the alarm call. What Scott and I have done is we've started to track along where she was walking. So we've come directly south from where she was. Her tracks were heading south. She headed south into the middle of a block. We're standing in the middle of the block over here now, and we're walking these game trails. Leopard are animals of habit, but they're also very secretive, and they will walk trails definitely where they can. And we're crossing from game trail to game trail, looking for her tracks, stopping often and listening to the bush. And that's where we are now. You've caught us in a quiet period. We're not crashing through the bush on our feet. We are stopping. We're in a little glade in this forest. And I decided that this would be a good time to show you what I mean by little points of interest and little topics that you don't necessarily see from the game drive vehicle. What we have here is a very old patch of elephant dung. So the elephant came past here, he defecated here, and he moved on. But in the meantime, a whole host of animals have made their home out of it, basically searching for food. Elephants have a very inefficient digestive system, and that's exactly what's happened here. Is a dung beetle has smelt this from far away, come in, landed on the dung. They were the ones responsible for flattening out essentially what looks like this, a dung ball, into this. And what they did is some dung beetles roll a ball and roll it away. Other dung beetles bury their ball underneath the dung. And that's what's happened right here. Is here a dung beetle has buried a ball with an egg in. What's happened then is that egg has turned into a larvae, a baby dung beetle, has eaten that dung ball and has come out. So this is the burrow of a giant dung beetle, a flattened giant dung beetle, to be honest, to be more precise. And he's dug himself out of his hole. This is his burrow, and he's living here now. He'll be scurrying around here now. Either he's in his burrow, they're predominantly nocturnal, or he may be around here somewhere looking for more dung. But not where I'm sitting at the moment, but definitely the hole of a dung beetle. Now what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be carrying on in a southerly direction along where these tracks were heading, and we're going to see if we can bump into and find this female leopard for you. I have no doubt that we're hot on the trail of this leopard. So yes. So Kathleen in Glenfield. Hello Kathleen, how are you? It's good to be able to interact with you in this way. We're standing effectively in the middle of nowhere. And you've asked, how do we look for tracks when we don't have a bare patch of sand to look? And it's a good question. Generally, it's very difficult to look for tracks where there isn't a sandy substrate. But you're quite lucky that in the bush you have these connected series of open sandy patches that are connected by animal paths. And leopard being leopard, they don't normally just walk through the bush. They will, of course, but they like to use paths. And so what Scott and I are trying to do is walk on as many paths, crisscrossing the area where we last saw her tracks going to see if we can pick up the telltale sign of a footprint on a game path. It sounds ludicrous. It sounds, how are you going to find one footprint or one toe print with all this grass around you? But let me tell you, with enough searching, you absolutely do. Obviously, we're looking and we're listening as well. And we're listening for squirrels and we're listening for animals giving their alarm calls. They help us to pinpoint exactly where that animal might be. But to give an example of a sandy patch, I'm just going to ask. So here we have a sandy patch, and this is on a game path And basically, it doesn't look like much, but this will hold 1 or 2 leopard tracks. And this one doesn't have any leopard tracks on it at the moment, but and that's what we're aiming at. As Scott and I are walking through the bush, I'm busy scanning every open patch I can and trying to pick out the odd print. Now, I'll give you an example of how easy it is to pick up a print. As you can see, there's nothing here now. But if I were to all of a sudden place my hands in there, you can absolutely see that it makes a very clear print. Looks almost like the 4 toes of a male leopard. And that's what we'd be looking for, is a telltale sign like that. Just like that in the sand. So we're going to carry on walking. You're welcome to join us. We're going to be making our way south, seeing if we can hear or see anything. Yes. So I suppose a good time to answer a question from Wendy in Petersburg. Hello, Wendy. On what would be my escape plan if I were to stumble upon a venomous snake out here? Now, Wendy, we've stumbled across lots of venomous snakes, and the rule of thumb is if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. There's no corners here in a house or in a kitchen or a bathroom where we could potentially corner a snake and make it react aggressively to us. Generally, snakes like to get away from you as quickly as what they can. So in all the time that I've been working in the bush, 16 years of walking on trails, encountered many hundreds of snakes, not one has ever tried to bite me defensively. There's always been an escape plan, and by rule I don't like to catch venomous snakes by hand. So as long as I leave them alone, the hope is that they leave me alone. So I'm not too worried about snakes out here. Generally they let you know with a loud hiss, or they move their body, and you'd be able to pick them up before you could step on them or before cornering them at all. Copy that. So Maureen in the UK has asked, hello Maureen, has asked, would any animals make alarm calls at humans walking in the bush? And yes, to a certain degree, some will. You definitely find some animals are more skittish towards people on foot than others. I have noticed impala will give alarm calls at humans on foot, and kudu will give alarm calls at humans on foot, but really only in areas where these animals get hunted by people. Here at Djuma, in the Sabi Sands, adjacent to the Kruger National Park, we don't hunt animals on foot. We don't hunt them at all, in actual fact. And for that reason, the animals don't see us as a threat. We become part of the natural world, and they don't really react negatively to us. So it's a bit of a twofold answer there. Yes, in some areas they will react to people where people hunt them. In areas like this, not really. They run away from you, they might give the odd bark, but never like their reaction to a leopard or a lion, for instance. This wonderful old relic is one of the hardest trees that we find out here. It's a zebra wood, and it gets its name from the fact that the wood itself is striped like a zebra. I'm going to try and show you an example of this. There you can see the wonderful black and white and black stripes that this wood exhibits. Very hard wood, prized in the furniture making industry. Used to be prized in the furniture making industry, at least. This is an old guy. He's survived countless fires. and not living anymore, dead, but still standing. Yeah. Let's carry on. So I've just heard from Tara and FC that Mark has got something special for you, and while Scott and I carry on with looking through this bush for the female leopard that we're searching for, we're going to pass you through to Mark and enjoy the sighting.